Well, afternoon boys and girls. Well, it's actually about 11 o'clock. I've decided to fish the harbour at Galston today. Obviously just before the brush bend. You see the bend there, and just before that there's a little survey boat having a look around. But yeah, I never fished the river before, and that's the lifeboat shed, so I'm just fishing next to that. There's a good colour to the water. But that's lovely. I'll be fishing out the back of the van today. I don't know if I'm 100% meant to be fishing here, because let's just say it's a tight squeeze through the barrier. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's great. Fished in the back of the van. Can't be better than that. Well, I was just cutting up a bit of herring. I chucked the backbone in. And these gulls are like harbour sharks. Dozens turned up in seconds. Greedy little buggers. So bait wise is usual, obviously my salted prawns, a bit of squid cut up and some herring. I'm only doing little strips at a minute because I think the majority of fishing here are going to be whitings. I never fished it before in here, but years ago it used to be eels in the summer. It used to be full of eels, but not anymore. But yeah, well, rigs are all pretty basic. I'm just using 2-hook flappers and 3-hook flappers. These rods are all my, I bought them the other week, uptide rods, only Shimano Omnis. I think I paid 25 quid each for them delivered. You can't go wrong with that, can you? And obviously 2 of them got sloshes on, and 2 have got the older Pen 525s I bought off a mate a year or two second hand and never used them. So yeah, I thought I'd treat myself to some new boat rods and reels. Well, I'm finally all fishing. I never normally bring 4 rods, but I thought if I'm fishing at the back of the van I'll be greedy. I never used these uptiders before. Actually, I lie. I used one pair a few months ago fishing in the river in Yarmouth, like in the centre of Yarmouth, but I never fished. Oh look at that one. See that left hand rod knocking? That was a good knock then. Oh, I'll have to get that, ain't I? Let's see how this goes. Oh, is that the kiss of death? A rockland. Look at that. That's a good size rockland, eh? But that's still a rockland. Slippery little bugger. That's off. Ooh. I'll get that back. Normally, rockland's a kiss of death, isn't they? Well, first cast, job done. I will never buy decent rods to use in my boat because of all the commercial gear. They get knocked around, clattered about. So something like these, 25 quid each. They're ideal. You can knock them around, bat them about, and it doesn't really matter, do it? You soon get your money's worth out of them. But I've got to admit, I do like a decent quality reel. You get a crap reel, the drag's crap, the clutch is crap. That's just awful bloody things. But that's the first time I ever used them 525 mags. I think they're Mark III, aren't they? I've heard a lot of bad reviews against them, but I bought them second hand. They were like new and they were cheap enough, so I couldn't really turn it down. And the old sloshers, they're the first time I've ever used a slosh, first time they've ever been used. So yeah, well, they're self-explanatory, aren't they? I think they're workhorses, aren't they? No one's ever had a problem with a slosh, have they? I'm sure they're not the most up-to-date and sophisticated system, but they're not meant to be. They're just workhorses. Well, let's look, we get a few more fish. That's a good start. As I've never fished here before, I'm just experimenting. Like the left-hand rod is about a rod length out. The right-hand rod is a couple of rod lengths out, and the other 2 rods are like 20-30 yards out, just to cover a bit more area sort of thing. But obviously that's a left-hand rod, what was like dropped down the side, had the old rockland on it. But we all hear about rockland, they're the kiss of death fish, aren't they? You get them then you're not getting nothing, but we'll see. Well, I just wound the second rod in because it's been out a while, and look, there's quite a bit of weed on there. That ain't too clicky, is it? And that's right down the edge. I wonder what the other 2 rods will be like. There's a fair bit of weed there in about 10 minutes. Covering up all the hook baits. You don't catch fish doing that, do you? Well, I just reeled in the 2 right hand rods and there's just a bit of weed and a couple of crabs on them. Not a lot. I don't know if that Rockland was the kiss of death. You never know. But I just had a gentleman come down and have a chat. He recognised me from the videos and that sort of thing. Very friendly bloke. Nice to have a chat with people now and then and see who they are. Ever so polite and friendly. Couldn't ask for any more. I'm quite enjoying fishing here. It's ever so comfortable. Fishing out the back of the van and there's no horrible sand to get everywhere. It's ever so comfy fishing. You look over there, look at a bit of old kelpy, bit of old kelp and stuff coming past, bladder rack. But apart from that first fish, I ain't had nothing, but the baits all come back virtually untouched. So who knows? Obviously I don't know the score about fishing here, where you fish or anything, but with 4 rods I've got 1 drop down, 1 a rod length out, and then 20 and 30 yards. You sort of cover the area sort of thing, so if there's any fish there you thought we'd pick up 1 or 2. But it was very poor on the beach yesterday. Well, years ago I used to catch a lot of cod and codlin in the river here on this bend where I am, near the lifeboat shed. I used to get loads of cod. But one of the big differences was the fishing boats, Fisherman's Quay's just a couple hundred yards further up. And you've got to imagine all the commercial boats all used to do long lining traditionally around here. And obviously after they got back from day's lining, they used to clean all the lines down and all the old bits of bait used to chuck over the side. So they were constantly feeding into this river. And the fish knew that was a permanent food source for them. Because you think all these big boats do 2, 3, 4,000 hooks a day. And you think there's a lot of bait left over. So you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of bits of squid on each boat going over the side of the day. That's why there was so much eels in here in the summer as well, because they used to feast on the squid, full up to the hilt of it. Well, I just talked that up, didn't I? The rod started rattling and that's all full up with bladder rack. See that the baits are virtually untouched. So a lot of fish there, is there? But obviously they ain't going to fish all that bladder rack on it, so I'll clear that off and get that back in again. One thing I have learnt fishing here, be careful of the old dog deposits. There's quite a few of them in the grass. Obviously people walk their dog along at night time and turn a blind eye. There's quite a few the other side of the van, but I reversed back a bit forward to try and clear them. You shouldn't be standing in that filthy old muck here. But that doesn't seem very lively today in the river. I know just before Christmas I had a match here, but that was obviously before them sprats turned up. They were getting a lot of whiting in the river, but it's only been quite quiet today. Maybe there'll be a few more when that tide ease, who knows. Well, it's blinking nippy today. I'm wrapped up well. That's only about 2 degrees, but that was only 2.5 yesterday, but it had the old sun on me and that was lovely with the sun. Oh, I think it's got a rattle on that rod there. Let's give it a look. If it was a rattle or fish, that ain't there now. Just a little bit of weed on the top of the trace and that's about it. Hook baits hardly been touched. I'll get that back out again. Well, one of them inside rods is bending quite well, so I gather there's probably a lot of weed on it. I'll reel it in and show you to see what it is. Just a crab in the tide. Obviously they're still feeding even though it's the middle of winter. So you even see the squid in his mouth, greedy little bugger. And I'll get that rebaited and back out again. And I just reeled in the other inside rod and that's full of weed as well. So quite a bit of weed here, but obviously you've got so little line in the water. There must be a hell of a lot of weed down there, because it's not like the beach when you've got like 100 yards of weed out, is it? You can just imagine it, can't you? 30 years ago, there'd be anglers like me sitting on the side of the river here just for a few hours. They'd be catching proper cod and codlin. 15-20 pound cod in the river. You couldn't imagine it nowadays, can you? How things change, eh? But a lot more people used to fish then, just to put food on the table, innit? It's not like nowadays where everything's easy come, easy go. Years ago they bloody struggled. Well, that's the Port Authority boat. That's a pilot boat. Basically, that go outside the harbour when you got big ships what don't know the harbour very well. There's a pilot on that boat. They then drop the pilot off, and the pilot will then bring the ship into the harbour. Obviously, like that's a lot to do with insurance and that sort of thing, because there's obviously each harbour has got different tides and low spots and deep bits and pieces. So for insurance purposes, a lot of people, a lot of big ships have to have a pilot with local knowledge to come and help them out. Where you look, there's now a ship coming in the harbour, so that little pilot boat is holding back, ready for that to come through the harbour mouth. And as soon as that comes through, then the little pilot boat will be given permission of the harbour authority to then leave the harbour. Basically, they say about rules of the road, that lot, but a lot of the time is might is right. Because that little pilot boat ain't gonna argue with that tug or whatever it is it? You'd be daft. You got to look at the size of that tug coming in. You can tell it's a modern tug, because look at the wheelhouse. That's so open plan and the view's brilliant. 10 times better than what the old boats were. They got the wheelhouse up high, all glass, brilliant visibility. And they'll have a bit of kit in it. There's 2 of them tugs in here at the minute. One just come in about 5 minutes ago. That's a bit of a piece of a boat, isn't it? Lovely looking thing. Look cracking. See one of the crewmen is sorting out all the ropes on deck, getting ready to moor up to the quay. Very impressive. These tugs, they look big, but 2/3 of the hull is under the water. Obviously, the bigger the hull under the water, the more biting power it's got and the more that can pull. But them modern tugs are beastly old things. Look at the exhaust on the back. That's probably got 2 Hoss and great engines in it. Well, I just reeled in again. Plenty of weed. Another one of these pesky little buggers. There's definitely no shortage of weed and crabs here. I've seen full of them. You thought in this cold low water they'd buried up in the mud, wouldn't you? But they ain't. They're definitely on the prowl, and they definitely look the old prawns. Well, I just wound all 4 rods in. I wouldn't say baited up, more like topped up, because the bait's hardly been touched. It's only like the bottom hooks where it's been touched by crabs, so I've topped up the bottom, rebaited the bottom hooks and topped up the top hooks, and removed a fair bit of weed. That's about it. Just one of the rods was in a bit of a snag, but with a bit of gentle pressure that soon pulled out. But ain't a lot is there today. It's been dreadful. I'm still worried about that rockland now, the kiss of death. I ain't caught a rockland in donkey's years. It's been long while since I caught a rockland, and they always say they're the kiss of death, so maybe that's it. Oh, that's what that rod's is given. I don't know what that was, but that rod was definitely knocking. But no fish. I'll get this baited and back out again. Cool, sitting here watching motionless rods for ages. That's like being carp fishing again. Yeah, I'm not used to this. Yesterday was a washout. I had 1 whiting first cast, nothing for 2 hours, and then 5 or 6 whiting. But today I had a rockland first cast and nothing since. That's been about an hour and a half, must have been. That's terrible, absolutely terrible. Well, that's the old pilot boat coming back like the bloody clappers. Obviously he's dropped the pilot off and he's easing it down. He's obviously dropped the pilot off and now they're taking this boat back to the quay. Obviously it got a speed limit in the harbours, they ease it down, but he was going the clappers, weren't he? But then again, in a fast boat like that, everyone's a bit heavy on the old throttle, isn't they? Well, I just reeled in all 4 rods and checked on the bait again, but there isn't a lot there, apart from weed. A lot of weed. Oh, since I do this, I seem to get a bite. That's a good ship coming. You look, as it turned, the whole boat leaned over. It's coming up here like that. There's a big old lump. See them? That's a more modern style ship. Look at the bow on that. That's not a traditional bow, is it? What we're normally used to, but obviously a hell of a design, and they've done that on purpose. Bloody great thing. Chunder along. Let's start at the bottom, up we get a fish or two. That's a bloody great thing coming in, isn't it? I don't know if I've got a bite on that rod now. Who knows? See, look there. There's a bloke sticking his head out right on the bow there. The boat is so big, he looked tiny, don't he? Bloody great thing, isn't it? Obviously, just for the offshore industry, that's a bloody great thing. Very impressive. I think I might actually have a bite. Really? I might actually even have a real bite. Well, I was just now chatting to a nice friendly old boy. He said he's 80-year-old, he looked well. And he was just telling me what they've been catching down here recently. Not a lot, let's put it that way. A few little pin whiting, but hardly anything. So I won't be rushing up this harbour anytime soon. Sound like they're fishing a lot better on the beaches. I know they had like a pairs match a few weeks ago, and they done alright there. But that was a few weeks ago, but then sprats are turned up now and lifted all them whiting up in the water. But there doesn't seem to be a damn sight here today. It's been bloody dreadful. Bloody hell, whatever next? I just got hefted, managed to pull it out. Now there's that little old whiting in there. It's a poor old little thing, but that's definitely a fish and I'm happy to see it. It's like yesterday. Fish straight away, then don't get nothing for a couple of hours. Obviously just put that back. But yeah, that's been deplorable. There's a few hefts in here, but luckily I got, because they're my sea rods, I've got a 25-pound main line, so I can soon pull out of it. But that's been very, very quiet. I don't know why people fish up here really, if it's that quiet all the time. Fishing with my uptide rods sum this place up really. That tide hoss through here like hell, so I'm casting up tide, letting the slack line out, so you get a nice big bow in the line. That's the only way you seem to hold bottom. Because if not, I just go down tide. Well, I don't want to do that all the time, but there's a hell of a lot of tide here. That's really hossing through. I'm about 2 hours from high water, and that is 2.7 metre tides at the minute, so they are pretty hot. But been down here 3 hours and having one bloody old rockland and one little whiting is hard going. But speaking to that old boy, they don't seem to catch a lot here, so I don't know why people fish it a lot really. It's obviously it's easy and convenient fishing here. You don't get covered in sand, you can park next to where you fish, but surely fished on the beach is a lot better if you catch plenty of fish. What's the point in keep coming here, even if it's easy fishing, if you don't catch nothing? Seems pointless to me, but there you go. Well, the old sun's come out now, it's warmed up, no wind. Look bloody lovely off here now. Nice and calm. That tide's still motoring through like hell. You can see you got lines here then everywhere. That tide is still motoring through. You can't really see on the camera. Not as fast as what it was earlier, but it's still a hell of a lot of tide here. Well, that's one thing what has been consistent today. Crabs, and lots of crabs. I think most of the twitches and stuff I got on the rods today just been crabs. This river seemed bloody full of them. You think, well, how much tide running, they'd bury up, but clearly not. And look where it is come up the river. It looked like the MMO to me, the Marine Management Organisation, or to any commercial fisherman, the Mickey Mouse Organisation. Obviously they're going around doing little checks on boats and that sort of thing, but they definitely got all the gear. Then again, like a lot of these boats and stuff, they got all the gear but no idea. I wouldn't tell them that though. Not when they're climbing on the boat though. But then again, we have had one of them years ago ask us what a bass was when he saw a bass on deck. Well, that's the rods all packed down. I've had enough. There's only so much punishment. That's about an hour from high water, but that hasn't been very good, and it's been a slow, quiet old day, hard work really. I won't be rushing here anytime soon, but it's nice just to use the old quiver rods, and not quiver rods, I mean uptide rods, and fish in comfort. Then again, I wish I'd gone on the beach and got a bit more fish, because I never seem to think places like the river fish that well really. Not this time of year, because the shoals are herring and sprats are at sea, not in the river, are they? And that's what the whitings are chasing. But there you go, you live and learn. That's nice just to use them rods and reels for the first time. Everything worked well. Had a little bit of a play with them and cast and that sort of thing. Well, anyway, cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you later.